With the yellow star collected, we can now head over to Mondo Woods and collect that huge coin that was in our way. Although once collected, it's only worth 1 coin. Honestly, the exchange rate is worse than Rwanda here. I then head over to Dark Blue Inn, and this stage has a unique gimmick. It's haunted. You have this set amount of time to arrange a tea party. I didn't expect this place to serve spirits, honestly. You go from room to room, completing tasks to make sure they attend. It's a series of progressing puzzles. One solution leads to the next. Just remember that invisible things need to be painted in order for them to work. Once you do that, things should become clear. Oh, and I did notice this book here. They call it the Internet Print Edition. Again, the writing in this game is top notch. If you don't exceed at this task, time resets and you'll have to try all over again. But it shouldn't hold you up too many times. The next level is Plum Park and its polluted pond. It's a fairly interesting level, although the best part is near the end where we're treated to a Birdo show. Now, I thought the Lost Levels reference was out there, but they actually make a Doki Doki Panic joke. Now, when it comes to this show, I was hoping to see her spit out eggs, but I think that's something you have to pay extra for. And hallelujah, there is also a unique boss here, Patia Piranha? I think that's how it's pronounced. And it is a new boss, it's not just a bigger version of a regular enemy. Oh joy. Now at this point, I started to keep big hammers on me just in case, and they did come in handy here. I make my way through Violet Passage, and I don't think that's a euphemism, and I am then greeted by a cannonball and a Matrix parody, in fact. Now I would call this painfully overdone, but isn't the Matrix old enough to be ironic now? But it does turn out to be foreshadowing for a new type of enemy, the Black Shy Guys. And it does appear I have set foot in the wrong neighbourhood here. Now these enemies have the annoying ability to dodge most of your attacks with some bullet time sort of thing. Luckily for me, I had the POW block on me. They can't dodge them, and by crunching them, they become vulnerable to other attacks. And it's good to see the game making you think about what type of attacks to use. Although if I didn't have the POW block on me, I would have found this really frustrating. And that's all we can do here for now, so it's on to Sacred Forest. This acts as a counterpart to Mondo Woods. Instead of the enemies being huge, they're tiny. And going through here, you realise they probably developed one hell of an inferiority complex. They are actually more threatening than some of the bigger enemies in the game. They use a sort of piranha tactic where they swarm you. And honestly, these battles could easily go against you. After the woods, I make my way up to the third big paint star, and it's fairly a linear path from this point onwards. Now before we go on to the boss level, we have to go through Kobold Base. Now to give you a warning here, there's a shy guy who offers to sell you cards. Buy them, including the extra bonus set. You'll need it for the minigame ahead. When you enter the base, you are ambushed by a game show. They involve memorization. You are shown various cards as they move around and are partially covered, and afterwards you are asked to then show what cards you were just shown. You see, buying the deck pays off. It makes sure you'll have the cards you'll need to answer the questions. Again, if you don't have the right cards, you're pretty much stuck. Play your cards right to win, but fail too many times and it's game over. You don't even get a checkbook and pen. And you will have to complete the additional bonus route. You see, the camera item you get is needed for a later boss fight. It's mostly easy to do, although I did end up using a screen grab to cheat on the last question. Cheap, I know, but I just didn't want to do it all over again. And I'm sure it was no coincidence that the exact item you would have won, an instant camera, would have actually helped you win the actual game. As the winning contestant, you can now progress to Fort Cobalt. I enter the fort and find a Toad trying to sneak in, but I really think he should try thinking outside the box. In this level, I'm introduced to a new type of enemy here, the Silver Shy Guys. Like the ninjas, you'll need a specific item to beat them. You see, they are protected by a coat of metal. Gear up with an iron boot or the hurl hammer to beat them. The regular enemies here get slightly more challenging, even if it's only achieved by multiplying them via stacks. Here I take out 20 guys in one battle, which It's nice to take out that many amount of enemies, but they don't really feel like a challenge. The big boss of this fort is Ludwig. His battleship looks intimidating, but it looks like the engineers took the 2D blueprints a little too literally. This fight gets a little more complicated than the previous ones. You will not only need a Thing card, but you'll also have to use the Tanuki tail to deflect cannonballs right back at him. This took me quite a few attempts, just to get the timing right really. He fires shots just to fake you out, but once I got used to that, it became fairly simple. After that part is done, it's just a simple case of using the balloons to surface him, where he becomes a sitting duck. With Ludwig sunk, I get the blue star, 3 down, 3 to go. With the 3 primary colours down, it's time to set sail for the purple star. This one is different from the previous 3. The whole theme of this part is sailing. You head towards a lost island in search of treasure. It's a linear path which supports the idea and is more focused than the previous parts. It becomes more like the chapters of the previous Paper Mario games. To get started on the voyage, it requires you to make this ship seaworthy. This does highlight an issue I had with the Thing cards. If you use the wrong card or use it at the wrong time, that's the only chance you get. You then have to return to the town to buy that same Thing card. Now, you could argue it's my fault for getting it wrong, but it doesn't feel like punishment, it just feels like busy work. This section is where it gets intriguing. To progress through the game, you gather these pages from a lost captain's diary, and you use them as clues to get past the obstacles ahead. As your ship sails, you are presented with these tasks, which are actually somewhat cryptic, but by using the clues, you are told when to turn, how many targets you have to shoot, and how many coins you have to collect. I really like doing this. This sort of thing is great. It feels like you're going on a quest and following the instructions of an actual treasure map. The islands in this chapter have this running gimmick of parallel worlds, something which has appeared in numerous Nintendo games actually, usually the Zelda ones. It follows a similar formula. Doing something in one world will affect something in the other world, and to progress you have to go back and forth and figure these things out. As you progress through these islands and worlds, you'll notice the appearance of Boos and Dry Bones. It is nice to see them again, but it does also highlight another issue I have with this game. The enemies are all classic Mario ones, which might seem obvious, of course, but the thing is, the RPGs have had a good track record of introducing new enemies, new bad guys. When delving into the parallel world, I think I met an elusive 4chan user. Now, I can't be sure, but his use of the word normie is a dead giveaway. Normies! I can practically smell the Doritos and Mountain Dew through the gamepad. A good example of this parallel world gimmick is this whirlpool, which turns out to be a washing machine in the other world. And for once in an RPG, someone objects to you just trying to take away an item. The next 2 islands follow the same theme. The last part of the journey is Fortune Island. Now, the first thing you may notice is that it's in the shape of a skull, and one of the golden rules of fiction is that an island in the shape of a skull is usually a bad omen. The skull is full of smoke, and this is where we meet the legendary captain. I guess you could call him Captain Cook. Although the problem with the choice of NPC design means that our captain and the lost captain look the same age. In fact, they look the same in general. Neither of them even have a beard or an eye patch, and they call themselves pirates, honestly. The boss of this island is Wendy, the Smurfette of the Koopalings. This is the only boss fight I beat on my first attempt. Her attacks are rhythmic, which makes it easier for them to be blocked. She'll try and snare you with a loop, but a well-timed selfie will provide you with a decoy to take the fall. And I must say, okay, we're saving Paper Mario, but Photo Mario doesn't count. It gets treated worse than Luigi, honestly. After that, and it's just a few hits to make the photo finish, It wasn't bad, but this fight definitely feels like it was added at the last minute. The previous battles were a lot more interesting. Wendy is defeated, and the true treasure of the voyage is revealed, the big purple star, and it's ready for the plundering. And with that done, there are 4 stars collected, 2 more to go, as well as the end game. Thanks for watching, please join me in the final part.